Well, this week we start part 2 of our series, Summer Mixtape Volume 3. Summer Mixtape is a series that has become something of a tradition here at Countryside, where we take an opportunity to pay close attention to the mixtape that is at play in our lives. Those stories we tell about ourselves, the words spoken over us, the experiences that we've had, the things that we've done, all those things that create the mixtape, the soundtrack of our lives that shape the way we understand ourselves, that shape the way we experience things as we live our lives. And so we pay attention. We do this by taking some time and listening to the Psalms, which the Psalms are the worship mixtape of the people of God. And so we listen and say, God, what is it that you need to teach us? God, what do we need to learn from you about how to understand ourselves, how to understand the world, understand how we relate to you? And so we pay attention to the mixtape, but this time around, as we go through this series, Summer Mixtape Volume 3, we're listening to a very specific set of psalms, the Songs of Ascent. It's a set of 15 psalms, Psalms 120 through 134, that are understood to be the road trip mixtape for the people of God as they journeyed to Jerusalem, as they made a pilgrimage journey to Jerusalem. They would have sung these songs together. Once they arrived in Jerusalem, these songs would have been part of their worship as they gathered. But these journey songs, these traveling songs. And so this week, as I've been listening, as I've been asking God, what does he have for us? As we listen to these psalms, I've had this picture that's been running through my mind. It's a picture of the big song of summer, right? The big song of summer, the song that everyone seems to be singing, right? Every summer we have these songs. Sometimes it's one song, sometimes it's a handful of songs that create in so many ways the soundtrack for all of us. It's the songs we can't get away from. So everybody's singing them. It's a song that's playing on the radio over and over and over again that sets a theme and sets the tone for summer. So much so that our grandparents are singing them too, right? It's like, how in the world do we know about these songs in this way? A song that everyone seems to be singing, a song played over and over and over again that sets the tone, that defines a particular summer for us. Years ago, when I was in college, I had worked through the summer. My brothers and I had started a lawn mowing business. And we were mowing lawns and listening to the radio a lot. And this was also the summer where Smash Mouth released the song All-Star. Some of you also survived that summer, right? I'm sorry, someone now has that playing in their brain. We're like the whole rest of the message, that's the soundtrack for the whole thing. But it's a song, and it felt like every other song on the radio was All-Star, and it's playing over and over and over again. And so it's like every time I hear that song, it takes me back. It's like I can smell the grass and the gasoline from the weed eater, all that. It's like that song is locked in a particular summer. The kind of song that even years later on a road trip, that song of summer starts to play, and then suddenly it's not just a song we're listening to, it's a shared experience because we're not just hearing, we're singing along. And there is something so powerful about a shared experience. Something so powerful when a song resonates not just with words that are interesting to us, but resonates with things we've all gone through. Resonates with things that maybe we are going through. Or things we know at some point we will all walk through. Last week, the first 3 songs of ascent, Psalms 120 through 122, were songs of lament and worship and prayer. But they were individual songs. They were songs with I language. It's songs talking about the specific things we experience along the way, the way we feel surrounded, the way that we experience hardship, the way that we worship and we pray. And it's God, this is where I'm coming from. God, this is my circumstance in life. This is the situation that I'm facing. This week, these next 4 Psalms of Ascent, Psalms 123 through 126, are different. They have some themes that overlap, but they're communal songs. They're together songs. They're we songs. They're songs we sing together. They're also songs that cut through in such a beautiful way. They cut through our hard times mixtape. We know this. When we go through hard times, when we walk through seasons we would prefer to avoid, when we walk through things that are unexpected, when we walk through times when we're facing ridicule, when we're experiencing hardship in all kinds of ways, there's a mixtape that starts to play. There's a mixtape that we start to add those experiences to that plays as we walk through hard times. And that hard times mixtape, I don't know what all is on your hard times mixtape, but I bet you there's two themes at play. One is that you're alone, that no one is standing with you, that no one would understand what it is that you're going through, that no one has ever faced the kind of situation that you're facing, that you're alone, and that this moment is the whole story. Not just a chapter of your story, but this moment, this thing that you're facing, this situation that you're walking through, this situation that has now become this defining moment of this part of your life. Take that moment and we say, this is the whole story. This isn't just part of my story. This isn't just a sentence along the way. This is my whole story. And so that mixtape starts to play when we experience hard times. I'm alone. And this moment is the whole story. And so we need songs that will tell us the truth. Actually, maybe even better than that, songs that will tell us the truth and that will get stuck in our heads. Like All Star, Smash Mouth. Right? Somebody has been listening to that song in their head the whole time as we've been walking through these last few minutes together. We need songs that get stuck in our head. We need songs that remind us, that play on repeat, that help us remember what's actually true. Psalm 123, our starting point this morning, picture a representative of a community of people who is standing up in front of a group of people and is giving words to the prayers of a people, representing people praying the prayers of a community. And so these songs of ascent, they're not just traveling songs, they're also worship songs for once we get there. And so over the course of Psalm 123, there's a shift that happens, and there's a shift that carries through Psalm 126. It's a shift in language from I to we. Psalm 123. I lift my eyes up to you who sit enthroned in heaven. We have a modern version of this statement, by the way. We say things like, well, God is still in control, or God is still on the throne. And if we say that, we're saying that for the same reasons that God's people have been saying and singing those words for thousands of years. We're saying that because regardless of the circumstances, regardless of the situation that we find ourselves in, the pushback and the breakdowns and all those things, regardless of what it is we're walking through, we're recognizing that we can still trust God. We're recognizing that He's in control. It's a statement of trust. It's a declaration of hope, even in hard times. Maybe especially in hard times, because we don't tend to say God is still on the throne when things are going easy for us. And as this song unfolds, our eyes, as in verse 1, are lifted upward, and our focus shifts forward. So whatever it is we're walking through, whatever season we're in, whatever thing that we're experiencing along the way, we're lifting our eyes and we're fixing our eyes on God, and we're eyes forward and upward, and then experiencing the things along the way. As the eyes of slaves look to the hand of their master, as the eyes of a female slave look to the hand of her mistress, so our eyes look to the Lord our God till He shows us His mercy. To say slaves it's a loaded word. We have here in the United States, there's many things that are wonderful about this country. That particular piece of our history is something that it brings shame. We didn't get it right. And so we read that and we load our history onto that particular term, but this all was written before we got it wrong in that way. So what we're talking about is a servant-master relationship. It's a relationship that's actually a covenant relationship, not just an employee, but someone who is in a covenant relationship with as part of a household, which means that a servant is looking and is utterly dependent on the master, reliant on what the master provides. And then the master has made a commitment to provide for, to support, to meet the needs of the one who is serving in but is part of his household. And so as the psalmist is writing these words, this prayer, this reminder to us, saying, God, we are dependent. And so we look to you as one who is utterly dependent, who isn't in a position to provide for ourselves, but God, you have covenanted to provide for us, to care for us. And so with our eyes lifted up, with our eyes fixed on God, then we deal with the earthly stuff that comes our way, the situations that come our way. And so we hear a petition, a prayer, and then a description of the circumstances that led to this prayer. Verse 3, have mercy on us, Lord. Have mercy on us, for we have endured no end of contempt. We've endured no end of ridicule from the arrogant, of contempt from the proud. All of a sudden, thousands of years ago doesn't seem quite so long ago, does it? Words that were prayed thousands of years ago and have been prayed countless times over and over and over again across history. We hear these words and it gives word to things we experience along the way. 3 things that help us take hold of this, that invite us into this particular prayer. One is the psalmist in this vulnerable and honest moment of we've had enough. God, we have experienced enough. It's like enough is enough. This has gone on for way too long. We've endured no end of contempt. There's no end in sight. We've been experiencing for so long. We don't even know what it's like to not be experiencing contempt. We've had enough. Have you had enough? Contempt and ridicule. It's not just that they're experiencing hard things. It's not just that life has been difficult for them. It's not just that things haven't worked out for them the way they hoped they would work out for them. There are people who are mocking them as they're experiencing hardship. It says the arrogant and the proud are ridiculing us. They've heaped contempt upon us. It's one thing to experience hard things. It's another to have insult added to injury. When one who is at ease, actually that's the meaning behind the word arrogant in this moment, is they're arrogant because their lives are not troubled by affliction. Right? They've never experienced hard things. Their life is a life of ease. They don't walk through hard things like what the psalmist and what the people who are singing and praying this prayer are praying. They're arrogant because they've never been put in their place. And they're proud. They don't believe because they don't think they need to believe. And so for the people of God to experience not just hardship, but to experience ridicule from people who are at ease, who think they've got it all figured out, that hits differently. Right? It's one thing to experience hard things. It's a different thing to experience ridicule from someone who has it pretty easy and who think they've got it figured out. Right? That's hard. That is hard. We're like, God, what? I'm doing all the right things. God, I'm trying to follow you. I'm trying to do the things you've asked me to do. And yet people who never have experienced hardship, people who think they have it all figured out, seem to be living their lives with a measure of ease, and they're ridiculing me as I'm experiencing hard things. We've had enough. The contempt and the ridicule from people who it's hard to hear contempt and ridicule from. And then the fact that the prayer doesn't get resolved in this particular psalm. Psalm 123 doesn't end with, and so then God answered their prayers and everything was fine. The people whose lives were at ease were like, there's a great reversal in all of this and they got what was coming to them. The people who were proud got shown who they really are. All of this, like there's no resolution like what we would hope maybe that there would be in this particular psalm. And so then Psalm 124. Psalm 124 was most likely written for a particular group of people after a very specific situation in which God delivered them from peril. And so in this deliverance that God worked, this work that only God could have done, this work that God did that protected them and cared for them in the midst of a great battle, became not just a song for the people who experienced that specific moment, but became a worship song, a celebration song for the people of God. That when the songs of ascent were gathered, when that mixtape was curated, it became part of the songs that were sung as the people of God journeyed to Jerusalem. It became part of the worship service once they arrived and they remembered together what God had done for them. It's a celebration song to sing together. So while the prayer of Psalm 123 might have not been resolved in Psalm 123, listen to the start of 124. If the Lord had not been on our side, Let Israel say, if the Lord had not been on our side when people attacked us. And I love the way that this opening statement is sort of like anticipating that the psalmist, as this worship service is happening, that they're going to have to get the crowd involved a little bit. It's like, if the Lord had not been on our side, and it's like, hey, if the Lord had not been on our side, right? If the Lord had not been on our side, let Israel say, like wake up, Israel, remember what God has done for you. And it anticipates, it actually puts it in writing. It's like scripted out that you're going to have to wake people up because you got to remember what God has done for you. To get the crowd involved because we are involved. Because God has involved himself in our lives. God has involved himself in the hard moments of our lives. And so if the Lord had not been on our side when people attacked us, they would have swallowed us alive when their anger flared against us. The flood would have engulfed us. The torrent would have swept over us. The raging waters would have swept us away. That is a hopeless picture. Right? That is a hopeless picture of a battle that leads to utter destruction. Except one thing. The Lord was on their side. Right? They're painting a picture, recognizing how badly it could have gone, recognizing what could have been, and yet they say, had God not been with us, had God not been on our side, this is the utter destruction and the utter ruin that we would have experienced. And yet God was with us. So praise be to the Lord, who has not let us be torn by their teeth. We have escaped like a bird from the fowler's snare. The snare has been broken, and we have escaped. Let's be careful to not let the "we have escaped" part make us miss something very important. The trap was set. The trap worked. We were caught up in it, and God set us free. Right? There's this reality that we could read, we have escaped, and we can forget almost everything that led up to this moment and say, so we managed to get ourselves out of trouble. But the psalmist says, no. The trap worked. You were stuck. There was no way you were getting yourself out in any way. There was nothing you could do. The fowler was not an unwise trap setter. You were stuck. The great escape was God rescuing you. Praise God for what we have avoided along the way. Wouldn't that make a great worship song? Just sing that over and over again. Praise God for all the troubles that he has pulled us out of. Thank God for all the traps that have been broken. Thank God for the things we think we escaped, but it's actually God setting us free. Praise God. And that's just the stuff they know about. What about all the ways that God has protected them that they didn't even know? All the traps that they had found themselves in that they hadn't even quite yet realized that they were ensnared. All the traps that God helped them avoid along the way. This is just the stuff they know about. Our help is in the name of the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth, which then rolls right into Psalm 125. Those who trust in the Lord are like Mount Zion, which cannot be shaken but endures forever. As the mountains surround Jerusalem, so the Lord surrounds his people, both now and forevermore. This process, Psalm 125, this lyric, it gives us an opportunity to get this right in our lives, to get this process right in our heads, and we can live our way into it. It's a picture of faith and a picture of being made unshakable. But why we're unshakable matters. It's God growing our faith. This isn't a psalm about self-confidence. This isn't a psalm about, God, thank you for fixing my mixtape so that I felt like I could handle everything that was coming my way. This is a song about trusting God, about growing in faith, about trusting him, and then learning to trust him over and over and over again. God's not growing our self-confidence so we can handle the hard stuff that comes our way. He's teaching us to trust him. Trust, that's the part that we play. God's part is to surround us as we trust in him. And that makes us unshakable. Self-confidence. Self-confidence is overrated. Right, to think that we can handle everything. Self-confidence that says, I can face whatever that comes my way. I'm strong enough to handle whatever might come my way. All of that is overrated. It could never handle what faith and trust in God can handle. God surrounds us like the mountains surrounding Jerusalem, that we're unshakable, not because our self-confidence is so great. We're unshakable because God has taught us about himself. He surrounds us. He cares for us. He protects us, and he sustains us. The scepter of the wicked will not remain over the land allotted to the righteous, for then the righteous might use their hands to do evil. This is that faith now applied to present circumstances. They can look at what this terrible situation and say, what is not what should be. And so therefore, it will not remain that way. We can trust God to restore. We can trust God to fix what's broken so they're not shaken. And then they're putting their faith into action, and they're not trusting in themselves. They're trusting in God. No matter how righteous they may be, their faith and trust cannot be in themselves. And so they lift their voices and they pray together. Lord, do good to those who are good, to those who are upright in heart, but to those who turn to crooked ways, the Lord will banish with the evildoers. Peace be on Israel. That's a loaded set of sentences. It's a prayer. And it's a warning. It's a warning to those who might be tempted to join in with the trouble that's being made. And it's a benediction. The psalmist says, peace. Peace be on Israel. A benediction it's a good word spoken over the people of God. So Psalm 125, the whole conversation, the growing in trust, the dealing with hard times, dealing with all those things that come their way, it's in but peace. It's right. It's why we close out our worship services with a benediction as well. It's peace spoken over the people of God. Psalm 126 is a good word too. It was written to celebrate the return from the Babylonian exile. It's a reminder of the goodness of God and the restoration work that God does in our lives. Listen to the opening statements, Psalm 126. When the Lord restored the fortunes of Zion, we were like those who dreamed. Our mouths were filled with laughter, our tongues with songs of joy. Then it was said among the nations, the Lord has done great things for them. The Lord has done great things for us. And we are filled with joy. So this is what people are saying about us, but we're going to testify that what they're saying is true. The Lord has done great things for us, and we are filled with joy. You can hear the joy, right? Actually, it feels like the punctuation it fails us just a little bit as we read this in our Bibles. It feels like it should actually come across like an excited set of text messages that we get from people like whoever it is in your life that sends you not just one text, but text, and then it's like another text, and then another text, and another text, and you're just trying to keep up with all that because they're so excited. And there's a lot of exclamation marks and a lot of emojis and like the little celebration thing, kind of like that. And then like as they go and the excitement builds, all of a sudden now it's like you open the text and there's like confetti when the text message shows up. Do you guys have people like that in your life? You need somebody like that in your life. If you don't have somebody like that in your life, be that person for other people because it's really beautiful. It's like look, do you realize what God did? It's like a dream come true, like exclamation mark, yay! Yeah, look what God has done. And yet then there's this other prayer. They're celebrating what God has done, but then they say, restore our fortunes, Lord, like streams in the Negev. God, please keep restoring us. Here's what we believe you can do. Right? It's a picture of restoration. We've got this piece of it. And we're seeing God at work, and we can celebrate what God has done. And yet the process takes time. Right? It's not just this moment that fixes everything. Here's what we believe you can do. Those who sow with tears will reap songs of joy. Those who go out weeping, carrying seed to sow, will return with songs of joy, carrying sheaves with them. We're talking streams in the desert. They might be home, but restoration takes time. Full restoration takes time. The psalmist is painting a picture that's less like a Hollywood, we found the antidote, one dose of this, and it fixes everything, and it takes like 3 seconds, and everything's fine. And it's more of a picture of a desert. coming back to life. Restore us like streams in the Negev. Restoration is going to take some time, but we won't be shaken. God, we trust you, and we remember what you've done, and we know what you can do. So you remember that Hard Times mixtape. You're alone, and this moment is the whole story. These songs, when we sing them together, break through those lies. They give us different songs for hard times. These songs tell us the truth. You're not alone. God is with us. God is surrounding us. God is sustaining us. We're in this together. We are not the first ones to go through hard times. And this is not the whole story. When you find yourself, some of you have found yourself right here in this moment, finding yourself in a moment that has shaken you, where you feel trapped and hopeless. This moment is not your whole story. It's part of your story. Eventually, it will become part of your testimony, but it's part of God's big story. It's a story that God has been writing across history that's bigger than any one of us. It's bigger than anything we're experiencing in this moment, which means we can learn something from what God has revealed about himself across time, what God has been teaching his people all along. You can trust him, and you can trust him to restore. It's that journey. Like God, you have restored, but would you restore? It's that moment of saying, God, I've seen what you're doing. It's this journey of, God, I trust you. Help me trust you. Help me continue to learn to trust you deeper and better and more in new areas of life and new circumstances and new situations that I find myself in. This morning, trust God to restore. Don't ask God for a restoration of self-confidence, right? That's not what we're talking about. It's not a restoration of self-confidence. God, make me strong enough to handle this situation that I find myself in. It's a restoration of faith and confidence in God. So take whatever moment it is that you're looking that feels like the whole story, that makes you feel like you're alone in the battle, makes you feel like you're the only one who's ever experienced this, that you stand by yourself, that you're surrounded and there's no hope. Take that and remember that God breaks traps, that God sustains us, that God surrounds us and fights for us. That you are not alone, that you're living in part of a restoration story that God has been at work in all along.